You're so funny.
Hey, everybody.
Woohoo!
We are here. It is the Kagan
And Fagan.
hour.
Our.
Ish. Hour-ish. Anyway, so excited to be here. First of all, I just want to say how much I love doing this with you, Karen.
Me too.
Yeah, this is just awesome. It's just fun. And I love that we get to show up and have a conversation and hopefully inspire, empower, and uplift, right? Because if you see any of our posts about this and our fabulous branded image about it, right? Our banner, it says inspire, uplift, and empower. That's what we're up to here. That's what we're up to here. That's what we're up to in our lives as well. Is it super noisy, by the way?
No, I'm laughing. Did you see me laughing? I'm laughing because I was reading the side notes and it says Karen Fagan is no longer a host thanks to Deborah Kagan.
What? Where does it say that?
Just like on the live chat. I just think that's really funny.
No, because I had you and then I didn't have you. Yeah, because I wasn't sure. Like, did it work? Did it not work?
That's right. Yes.
It's so silly. Anyhow, so here we are again for another stimulating conversation. And chat it up, because you and I, we know it's well, first of all, it's March, and so that means it's Women's History Month. Hey, Judy! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Judy's here.
You know Judy?
Judy is what keeps everything in my business working.
Oh, hey, Judy.
And Judy's just an amazing woman who is very much on the pulse of this conversation as well, and does some, great dancing and all the rest of this. This light is actually bugging my eyes this way, so give me a second. I'm just going to tweak it. Hold on. All right. Too much. Is that still?
Well, I think it looks good, but if it's bothering you, I think
it's not actually the way it looks. It's just hitting me in the eye the wrong way. One more second.
Okay.
It's just like it's.
Wait, now you can't see you as well.
No,
okay, there we go.
No, hold on.
You gotta open that back up.
Yeah. All right.
Open
we
it
gotta
back
figure
up.
this shiznit out. But anyway, here we are. So
Hi, Get Real Connect.
Hello. Wait, I know who that is. Who is that? What's your name? Get Real Connect. All right.
I'm trying to see the face.
I don't see the face yet popping up.
Oh, you don't see it right next to Get Real Connect?
I don't.
What is your name?
I don't. This is just awful, this whole lighting situation over here. It's not good. Not good today. But we're not going to worry about it. I'm going to open it one more time because I can't deal with this. Hold on.
Okay. Do it. You got it.
It's bright. It's not bright. It's good. It's not good. You know what? Fuck it. Let's talk.
Let's get real.
Yeah, let's just get real. Oh, it's Judy. Okay. Get Real Connect. It's Judy. I guess. Anyhow, well, Judy, I'm glad you're here. So in any case,
That's so funny.
Here we are. It's March. It's Women's History Month. And we're talking about really everything, not everything, but a lot of things, all female related, in honor of Women's History Month. And if you did not catch our blab last week, we were talking about women of history, women that inspired us. You can catch the replay here on Blab. If you're on YouTube watching this, you can see this on, my YouTube channel. I don't know, Karen, if you're posting on your YouTube channel.
Well, now that you say that, I probably should.
Yes.
Yes.
So, bear with me, y'all. I'm going to just kind of keep moving stuff around here to see if I can make this work out even better. But so in any case, we're talking things feminine. We're talking things female. We're talking about empowerment. And we want to have this conversation with you. So stick with us, because every what is it, Thursday? Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday.
It's Thursdays.
Yeah, Thursday.
So Thursdays, we are blabbing it up. And today we want to talk about feminism and what it means to you. What about you, Karen?
So what it means to me, actually, when I think about feminism, it actually turns into something a little bit more than just that. And I think it's through like the last 10 years, right? And so it's all, you know, to me, it's about equality for women. But it also makes me realize equality for everyone, right? And what I realized is, so I had this very unique experience where I noticed this about myself, that often, sometimes when I'm out in the public world, I find myself holding back and letting men go first.
How so?
And okay, let me think of an example. So say you're about to get in line and there's a man like getting in line with you. Part of me finds myself, because I'm a woman, just holding back and letting him go. And that's been like a new recent thing that I've noticed about myself, that I never noticed I did that before.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think of it in terms of really equality, but for me, it's more not just, and I know we're talking about women and all female things, but it, you know, I used to think that when people said feminism, it was like an angry lesbian. That's what that meant. And so the more that I've know about it, the more for me it spreads over. It's like this equality for everyone. That's how it's developed and evolved for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting because I was looking up just a little bit online before our blab today, and I'm a huge word nerd. Like, I love to look up the definition of things and, you know, see, is that true for me? Is that the way I interact with the word, the meaning in my own life? And, you know, feminism itself is, I pulled up the definition. Hold on.
I did too.
Yeah. Wait, this is on pen.
Mine had that word equality, and I was like, well, you know.
Well, it's basically the advocacy, here we go, hang on. The advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and that's really the way I think about it. It's about equality for, you know, all humans. And I'm not going to get into a whole conversation about gender. That's a whole completely other conversation, right? And there's a lot going on, at least these days, you know, around the gender conversation. But basically, it's equal rights for all humans. That, you know, that's personally, that's what I stand for. I mean, that's what I believe in. That's what I would like to see have happen. And it's interesting when you were like, you saying that, you know, you thought of it as an angry, you know, angry lesbian, because it just, within the whole realm of feminism are people working towards the same goal, but fighting each other, right? Yeah. They're like up against each other. Like, oh, you like, you know, did you remember when Beyonce did her concert and she had the whole back of the stage lit up that said feminist? Yeah. And she was in that sassy outfit and she was just like doing her Miss, you know, Queen Bey thing. Yeah. Right. And they were like, obviously lots of people loved it. And then there were some feminists that like lost their shit over it.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is what I wanted to actually bring to this conversation, which is why, and you see this in so many different realms, right? But why is it when we are fundamentally working towards the same goal, right? We are really going towards equality, even if it's just for women, to have women, you know, to have equal rights. Why is it that we're fighting each other on that and saying your form of feminism is, you know, isn't valid and isn't good, and you shouldn't put yourself out there as a, you know, a sexual being? Because a lot of the, you know, that's what they were getting up in arms about, right? That she's like, you know, being sassy and all the rest of that. Why not? Why can't a woman who's like, hello, empowered, which I know in terms of her own body and her own sensuality and her own sexuality, which you and I are huge advocates for that. Why is that not considered part of the feminist movement? Right? You know, that's the kind of stuff that starts to make me crazy.
So it's like working towards the same goal, but then having like judgment within that divides people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well done to put that into a what do you call it, a cliff note.
A cliff note. Well, because I thought about it. Okay, so I wanted to share this. So it was actually my ex-husband. He was describing somebody to me. I think it was his ex-wife. I don't remember. And she's like an angry lesbian. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like a feminist. I was like, what? And my whole like definition of feminism was like completely different. I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. But then I looked at his life and how, he didn't have equality and he was a man. Right. And so I think that it's such whether it's women, right, bouncing up against each other, I think that men and women do that too. Like men want the certain thing, and then women want the same rights, right? But it's like all this. Why can't we all get along and be happy, Deborah?
I know. People should really just listen to us.
They really should. I have a strong belief, and I'm not going to change that one.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, again, just looking at stuff prior to the blab today. And I was just even looking at some images, right? Because I wanted to find something groovy and cool.
What did you find? I didn't look at images.
Oh, I tagged you, darling, on Facebook.
I did not.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I did see the image. Yeah.
I picked the one, of.
I love it.
Yeah. It was just, great. Whatever, woman power, like 70s, that whole thing, that feminist feeling. But again, just to be a little provocative. However, there's so many amazing people out there, and there's so many amazing movements out there of men who are like, this is what a feminist looks like, right? Lots of Hollywood celebrities, there's t-shirts, all of it, to help dispel and break this myth of what a quote feminist looks like.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, this is also great because all of this and all of the controversy and all of the communication and information that's out in the world, again, it's like it's making history. There's a new era of feminism that's occurring right now. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do. There was something I was just going to say. There was this quote and it just like left my mind, so it will come back to me.
Okay.
Because I was really into what you said. But it's a movement, and I think that we can definitely see it in the younger generation, like 20 somethings, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of millennials, and I don't hang around, I don't know a lot of them. I mean, I know some, but I don't know a lot intimately. What does your daughter think about this subject? Like, do you ever talk about it with her?
Well, yeah. Okay. So this was back in high school. So my daughter is 21 for all of you listening. And I'll never forget this day. I think she was a freshman in high school. And she came home and she said, Mom, you know what? I'm not having a baby. I said, you're never going to have children? She's like, no. She goes, the man I marry, he can have the baby. I was like, oh my gosh. Right. And so her perspective at that, it's like, well, why should I have to be the one to do all that? Right. Why is that like my responsibility? But it was also what she was seeing is kind of the roles, right, of what like a woman does when she has a child, what her life becomes, that it's not equal to a man's. And that's what she was ultimately saying in that.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I love that she thought that, and, and then that was like her perspective.
Yeah.
But now, okay, so that was the beginning of high school. Where is she at now? Is something that you've talked about at all lately?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that for her, she sees equality. I mean, well, she's a vegan. So her equality really comes from taking a stand as an empowered woman for her love for animals and them being treated as equals. So it's really fascinating. And her fierceness about it, I think that, somewhere along the line where maybe I was told to be a little bit more quiet and let the men go ahead, she certainly was not taught that. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. So it's interesting. You're talking about ways, right, where we let other people go ahead. It's so funny. It's like, that's one thing I had not thought of, like, to let a guy go ahead. I guess I'm also so like, it's funny because people also give me crap about this, but I'm so freaking old school in the way of chivalry. I'm like, dude, hold that freaking door open for me, you know?
Well, I thought I was too, but like I didn't. I just remember, and so here's how I noticed it. I was like gonna let the man go first, and he looked at me like, "Hell no, you're going first." And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Why did I just do that?" Yeah.
Yes. And here's the thing. And for the record, I've held the door open for men in the past. It's not like I'm going, you know, men are supposed to do this and women are supposed to do that. It's like, no, again, we're talking about like, there's equality here. We can do it for each other. Right. It's not, you know, and this, at least in this conversation, I feel like we're focused on more of culture rather than intimate personal relationships, because, you know, that dynamic is a whole other conversation, which we can have if people are interested in having that conversation on another blab. So, yeah, I just think it's really interesting the way that we are still dealing with this, and the way that we're still dealing with so many things, right? I mean, in terms of even racism and, again, just gender issues these days. And it goes down to the commonality that we are all flesh and blood and we are all humans. And why anybody should be treated differently than another is still just, it boggles my mind.
Yeah. Do you know it was probably 6 months ago, I got a phone call from a TV producer. And they wanted to know if I would be on the show and if I had some clients that were women that would dress up as like a man and go through an interview and like have that whole experience. And I thought it was the most horriblest idea ever. Like, right? It's like, well, why can't they just go on the interview? You like, right? Why do they have to like change their roles? And so I declined that because, I mean, I don't think we need to subject women or men in any way to like learn something. Like, I think enough of that's been done.
Well, and again, it's like, I can see where they're coming from, to be like, okay, we're still going to prove a point that there is inequality and that women, you know, men are treated more in favor than women are, right? For job interviews. I mean, you know, there's plenty of facts out there about, you know, pay inequality, you know, in terms of healthcare, just everything, you know, advantages in terms of careers and jobs. So there's plenty of facts out there. And so I think it's interesting that they want to do that, but why again are we going to feed into that? There's enough knowledge, there's enough facts, there's enough information that we have a problem, Houston.
Like,
we still have a problem.
Like, it totally like triggered in me. Like, I'm not going to take part of that. And I'm not going to pull women in that I know into that, because we don't need to stay focused on that. Like, right, there's like a change that can happen that doesn't need a woman to put on a man's suit and be like degraded in any way.
Yeah. We already know the current status.
We've been there. We've done that. It's still going on. We can stop it now. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. We can show up, we can do the interview, and like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go, people.
Exactly.
You know, all right. So I want to toss this in the ring for today, because it's something you and I talked a little bit about earlier, and I know you and I both deal with, and I think it's a lot of what Beyonce, you know, just because I brought her up a little while ago, dealt with when she did her whole feminist thing. Why do you think that, like, let's call them, if we have to label it for the sake of conversation, the hardcore feminists, right, from like the 60s and 70s, who did make a huge difference for many of us today, right? We are standing on the shoulders of many of them at this point. But why do you think that, you know, this let's call it a 21st century feminist, a woman who is sassy, into her sensuality, open and expressive about her sexuality, why is that model of a feminist so threatening?
Well, because back in the 60s, right? And I mean, women weren't really taught to embrace their sensuality, right? It had to be like you were tough, you could keep up. And so I think that through the decades, right, what we culturally accept now wasn't accepted back then, right? And maybe it was too. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but this is just my thought. It's more, and I think that's where it's like, you know, a feminist is an angry lesbian. It's like, right, women showed up more, maybe in the persona of being more manly to get their point across, right? And now, like with Beyonce, well, it's nothing manly about her, right?
Yeah, and here's the other thing. So I'm with you on that, and I really still believe that, you know, sexuality in this country is still such a heightened and it's a subject matter that people are totally confused about, right? Men are completely threatened by and don't have a healthy relationship with. I mean, I feel really blessed. Like I got to spend not a lot, but a good enough amount of time in Europe when I was a young teen. And, you know, that was very awakening for me. It was the first time I fell in love. So, you know, there were things that happened, obviously, you know, in terms of my own sensuality and sexuality that were very defining. And so then to be in a culture where, you know, back at home, where it's all so taboo and so still hidden in so many ways, as much as we are like out there these days, it's still hidden and it's still not completely accepted, you know, in most of America. I mean, we're in LA, and, you know, if you're in New York, okay, right, we got some leverage there. But, you know, for most of America, it's still not really accepted to be a woman who is embodied in her sensuality, who's embodied in her own sexuality. And you combine that with the power of our drive to have equality is very threatening, right? And I think it can be very threatening. Yeah. And so I think, you know, I really believe that contributes to it as well in terms of this backlash of the 21st century feminist.
Yeah. Right? I mean, and it's also like seeing that, you know, it's like, I think it's like back then is what, you know, feminists is really seeing what feminists were really after is the equality, and not that it's like the sex object, right? Like that kind of old school thinking, which I know is still around today.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, and here's the fun thing, right? I mean, women are just as apt these days to point out a guy as a sex object.
Right. I know. I was thinking about that when I was thinking about this talk. Yeah.
I mean, think about like just how much objectification gets thrown onto David Beckham.
I know. Or I was watching a video on a football player today, and I was like, wow, he's like really hot. I'll listen to him, right?
You know, it goes both ways. And honestly, I think it has gone both ways. And it's just that, it wasn't accepted. And there's equality in that. Like, how many centuries, right, and really millennia have we objectified women to that point? And now it's like, guess what, guys? You know, we're doing it back. And so there's equality on both sides. Yeah. Right. I was thinking about that too. Yeah. It was like, all right, we're wanting certain things that that men have had the privilege of for many years. And then men are, you know, having, or not only men, I don't want to say only men, but, you know, some people are having issues with that. And at the same token, it's like, look at the equality in some of the ways that women have been treated now being more acceptable, that the way men are being treated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's just interesting to notice and to think about.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Because if we're talking equality, it's going both ways.
Both ways, yeah. And that's what's really like changed for me from, you know, maybe 10 years ago, or I mean, probably 20 years, right? It's just like the equality of for all, for all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what,
It's almost like, yeah, I'm not going to say what I was just going to say.
ooh, say it.
Oh.
Come on, girl.
Well, it's almost as if,
Spit it out.
I mean, I think that being a powerful, empowered woman is being able to come from a place of not just fighting for your own rights, but being able to be open for men to be equal, for children to, like, for everyone to be equal, right? I think that is a really feministic thing to do.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like as we were saying, to me, it's like, it's feminism, it's equality for all.
Yeah.
And maybe it's an outdated word.
That's what I was gonna. All right, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like it's outdated.
Omniism? Should we say omniism? Unism?
Unism. Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, it's like it's kind of outdated, or there's like a new version.
Homo
of it.
sapienism. Right? Because Homo sapien, right? It's we're all one human being. Human beingism. I mean, it's like,
let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt, and I've never felt this way, because you've had a job before and I've had a job
a
before,
long
right?
time ago.
Yeah. Have you ever felt, because I haven't, that like the male, I was in kind of this, I don't get what he gets, like things aren't equal. Have you ever felt that way? Because I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I worked in the film business.
Yeah. I haven't.
Yeah. No.
But at some level, right, there was some kind of message I did get because of my experience that I was just telling you about like, oh, I should let the man go. Right. So I don't remember any, in a job kind of like fighting for something, but there's definitely a message that I got around it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing to think about, right, is who were our role models growing up, and who did we see as female role models?
Exactly
in our lives. Did they model a form of feminism or not? Like I didn't necessarily have that straight up. My grandmother was, I mean, I talk about her a lot because she's such a huge inspiration to me, but she was frickin' powerhouse. And she was just a massive powerhouse, and definitely really believed that women should be able to do and experience what everybody should or could. She went to school, she did everything late. Well, it's also, she got very sick when she was 18. And so from 18 to 21, she pretty much was in bed. And so she kind of took those years off her life and then went back to college, or actually went to college for the first time. She didn't get married until she was in her 30s, and this is back in the 40s, 50s? No, 50s must have been.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wow.
Anyway, right. But so, and she like taught herself about investing. And hey, Poppy, no, I don't mind you asking at all. So my grandmother had this disease called mastoiditis, mastoiditis, which is basically an infection. There's the mastoid bone joint area. Don't ask me the technicalities of it, but it's basically right behind your ear. And, we're talking back in the 1920s, early 30s that this was going on. Oh. And basically, she had this massive infection in this mastoid area. And when they did surgery on her, because they were hoping to not get it into meningitis and all this kind of stuff, it actually severed the nerve that allows you to move your upper lip and your cheeks.
Whoa.
So she could never smile like this. Like she couldn't, this didn't work. Cheeks didn't go up, upper lip didn't do anything. So when she would talk, it was kind of like this. It was really weird. And anyway, she could only move, the lower portion. So, which made her feel very inadequate and very not beautiful. Right. She felt bad that she couldn't smile at people, but what she ended up learning was, to be able to smile through her eyes. And she was so curious about life. Right. So she was widowed when she was in her early 60s. And she was like, look, screw this, people. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to travel the world, which she did. And she continued to take university classes until she was 92. So to me, she's an amazing example of, again, equality, because she was just like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to experience life. Okay, I happen to be a woman, and I'm going to do this. And she was the matriarch of the family, right? It was really, she's just incredible. So thank you for asking, Poppy.
I love that.
I love talking about my grandmother.
I know. My grandmother, she was too. I mean, and maybe that's why my grandmother was just like, you don't wait for a man, you just do it. She was like a go-getter. She made things happen. She was the matriarch too. And yeah, I mean, I guess I get it.
Yeah.
I know where I get it from.
What's so funny though? My grandmother, as much as I love my, literally she was my savior. Like, I had not a happy childhood and into my teen years, and she was unconditional love and so much more. But she was so funny. She'd be like, don't you want to, meet and date a nice Jewish boy? So for all of her, like, go out there, and like forge your own path, she was like, so don't you? I never dated Jewish guys when I was younger. I mean, it just didn't anyway. And my sweetie's Italian. I don't know. I'm Italian in my heart. Sono italiana nella cuore.
That's awesome.
Oh, good. Anyway.
So should we ask?
Yeah. I'd love to know, like, Poppy, thanks for being here, number one, but what's your thoughts on feminism? Because, we can keep chatting here, but we'd love to know. And Judy, you're here, what would you,
Good, Judy, talk to us.
If anybody wants to pop into one of the seats here and hop on camera, please feel free. We'd love to hear your voice, but certainly type it in there, I'm really interested. It's like feminism is like anything, it's one of those.
Like, what does it mean to you? How have you experienced it? Maybe in a positive way, negative way?
Yeah. So we'd love to know. Ooh, we put them on the spot.
Ooh. All right, I'm going to just take pictures of us while we're waiting.
You are? All right, so I'm going to read what Poppy wrote. She thinks every generation of women has a different meaning of feminism. I agree with that. And she's wondering what you think of feminism and the various generations. Well, it's interesting. We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You're so good at doing the Cliff Notes. Do you want to do the Cliff Note version of this?
Yeah. So I did. I'm like, what were they? Okay. So the Cliff Note version is, so we were just talking about that. So, I was sharing that my daughter, when she was, she's 21. So 5-6 years ago, she very much came home and said, Mom, I'm not having children. And I was like, you don't want any kids? And she's like, well, I don't know about that, but the person I marry, he's going to have the child. Right. And so we were also talking about how the 60s and 70s, how it was more like women to take a stand for themselves. They had to be more masculine compared to nowadays. We have women being like these sensual beings who are being empowered and taking a stand. And where we kind of got to in this whole conversation, that feminism is like, it's kind of an outdated word, and it's really about equality for all. Mm-hmm. Right?
And we were joking around saying, what would that be? Omniism, Homo sapienism, human beingism, right?
Human beingism, I love that.
We could start that new hashtag.
I like that.
Human beingism.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
And the other thing that keeps like I can hear, we're all very intuitive, but like my people channel sometimes through me, and I'm like, all right, they keep saying, talk about, the time of the goddess. Right. And it's like, if we go back, like really, really far back, women were, we ruled, we were the ones who were actually in power, and that power in a female form is like no other. And, you know, we have the capability to birth life if we choose, which I think is adorable that your daughter at that time said, like, you know, I'm going to have the man birth the baby. Like, and who knows? I don't know if that would ever, with science and all the crazy shiznit that goes down with science.
I think you're working on that. I think
it's insane. Oh, wait. Yeah. Anyhow, I feel like I was like, did I dream that? Was it on somebody's talk show?
No, it was on something like it, because I remember going to my daughter and I was like, Kayla, like it's happening, like what you said, and that was like probably a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because it was, I mean, obviously birth by C-section.
Yeah.
But in any case, my point is, in terms of the way that we are wired and the way that our biology has been created by whatever you believe, whether it's God, universe, higher power, whatever, you know, like the mechanism and the mechanics of the way that we were created, the power within that form in terms of a woman being able to birth and you know, create that life is unbelievable. And then you marry that, right, with sensuality and sexuality and our natural ability to build communities. It's incredible. And of course, that was very threatening. We'll go thousands and thousands of years back now, right? And that got toppled over, and then patriarchy started. Yeah. Right. And we've been dealing with that for a long time. And one of the things that I've talked about, you know, I have a video out there about it, which has gotten some shit, which I love because, you know, you don't all have to love what we have to say, people. But really, since the 60s and 70s, 1960s and 70s, just to be clear, there's been this, you know, this rise, as we know, of that generation of feminism. And yet that's also what led us to, in the 80s, the masculinization of women, which became acceptable. Right? That became the new norm. And if we're going to have our rights, we got to like do it like a dude. And now there's a whole transition that's going on where we're owning ourself fully masculine and feminine energies as women. Right? And I feel like we really are going back to the earlier, thousands of years ago, the times when women were considered more goddesses, right? Or really, you know, that level. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what's coming up for me is like really, if a woman and a man is going on a date, like the woman shouldn't bring her masculine. Like it's just not going to work.
I agree. That, of course, a lot of people don't agree with.
We don't need to fight so hard for that.
Yeah. And you know, and also here's the thing: it's like if that's not your jam, right, then don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, it's like I will never sit here and necessarily quote preach to a woman to be like, you have to be in your feminine on a date. But it's like, here's the thing: what do you want? Right.
Exactly. This is I like what Poppy just said. The movie Pretty Woman and the TV show Sex and the City helped bring about feminism and female natural power.
You know, it's so weird. I don't see that. That's my little chat box didn't auto-populate that.
Oops. Let's see. There's another one.
Is it over?
I lost you.
We'll
be right back.
Am I here? Am I still here? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think she just, I'm not quite sure what just happened.
Oh, Poppy said she lost us. I can see the chat over here on my computer. For some reason, the chat got funky on my phone. But I see somebody named Devnob joined, so welcome.
Hello, hello, hello. I did not see that.
Woman and the...
Oh, she lost sound. Can you hear us now, Poppy?
Sex and City. Yeah. Well, and here's the I mean, you want to talk about some amazing feminists if we're going to go there. Do I have her book here? No. Where is it? It's on my other bookshelf. I was going to bring her up on our last blab, but you know, Erica Jong, Fear of Flying.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that?
I didn't read that, but I know of the story.
It's
yeah.
so interesting. I mean, people have said to me for years, like, read it. And so I don't know how many years ago I finally read it. And, for the time that I was reading it, was it so, no, because it's a different era. And then I had to put myself in the place of the era when she wrote it. And of course, it was incredibly powerful and shocking, right? She was the one who coined the zipless fuck phrase.
I did not know this.
Yeah. So again, it was just a woman taking ownership of her sensuality, her sexuality, her own power in the world, right? I mean, big. She's written many other books. She actually has a new one out, which I have not read yet. And that's on my list. Right. But I mean, she did wonders. She did so much for women, I think, is particularly in the aspect that you and I are proud of and that you and I are really working towards. And so, hey, I don't know if everybody here knows who we are. So I'm going to take a moment just to share who I am, and Karen will let you know who she is. Hey, Deborah Kagan.
Hey, Karen Fagan.
Woohoo! And so I help women rock their mojo. Right, which really it's all about reclaiming your confidence, feeling amazing in your skin, and living a turned on life, which is about being embodied, right? It's about owning your sensuality, and it's about having, for again, lack of better words, just for conversation, a balance and ownership of your masculine and your feminine, and completely, being unafraid to use either of them at any time.
Yes, I am just responding. Yeah, and so I'm Karen Fagan, and I help women feel amazing and really live the same turned on life, and knowing what their turns are, and really being empowered to go after what they want in life, regardless of what other people think, and essentially like breaking some rules.
You're a good rule breaker.
I am.
One of the reasons I love you so much.
Give me a rule, and what rules?
Yeah. Love that.
Oh, she's in New York City. Hey.
Oh, good. What?
Well, let me just say this. I'll tell you what rules. The rules that say you should be a certain way when your heart is telling you to do something different. I will break that rule.
Sorry, I'm looking behind me because that's my computer. We were having some tech problems originally, and the chat is working over there, and I don't see it. It's not working anymore. I can see it on my computer, but I can't see it on my phone, which is what you're seeing me from right now. So I'm gonna let you handle that, because I don't know why it stopped. Refreshing.
Yeah, and so one of my clients, what she told me? She said, Karen, you have definitely taught me that rules are for fools.
Right. I love that. Well, spoken like you sound like you're speaking like true Aries.
Yeah.
Which I know you're not. I am. But again, what do you want to toss into the mix right now? I could go a lot of ways. Some other people joined. I'm going to just say some other people have joined. So would love to know, what do you think about feminism? We've been chatting about this for quite some time now. Would love to hear your thoughts. We are, we're talking about changing feminism to human beingism, because we believe that's a more accurate phrase for our 21st century life. But what do you think of it? Right?
Yeah. Anybody want to join?
Don't be scared.
Come on.
I kind of feel, since like we can just take a moment, I kind of feel like this is going into like Donna Summer's, like, 70s. Speaking of feminism and 70s, I'm feeling like my fro's coming out today.
I know.
Especially with the sunlight, like, I can go big with the fro. Just saying.
My phone is about to go out of juice, and I'm at a noisy spot. Okay, cool. So I guess if nobody wants to join, should we maybe
keep chatting?
Keep chatting?
Yeah, of course. What do you want to throw in?
Well,
lob something at me, girl.
I'm thinking of something that's, is related to this conversation. Wait a minute. We have some messages. An important topic. But I'm very happy you had this discussion. Oh, thanks, Poppy. We are too. It is a very important topic. Yeah.
And gosh, it is. And my invitation actually to anyone who listens to this, whether you're here live or you're watching it, on a replay or on YouTube or on either of our blogs or wherever you happen to be catching this at some point, my invitation to you is to really ask yourself, what is it that you really like to see, right, in the world and in society, or even in the community that you exist in? What is it that you want to see? Because we can take these words like feminism, we can take these words like sex, or we can take these words like money, and they can trigger all sorts of stuff. What is it, right? What is it that you want to see with it?
I want to read this. I like this. Is it Wooder? I'm not quite sure if I'm saying your name right, but she said, Erica. Okay. That's what I thought. So Erica said, at a younger age, I viewed feminism in a negative light. Many from history books in college are radicalism, or more likely only to pertain to the time of period. Now I see it as a more positive. Yeah. And I don't see how anyone isn't a feminist. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. And, it's interesting because, back, right, again, as I was saying, back in when it became part of culture, let's say, because I feel like it's always been part of culture. I mean, we have to look at the suffragettes, right? I mean, when we were just trying to get the rights to vote, that was feminism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So feminism, I think, in the way that so many people still think about it, is from that radical 60s, burn your frickin' bras, everybody, right? It's like that. And that's a label. So that's why it's like, I invite everybody to think about, what is it that you really want? Do you want rights, equal rights for everybody? Maybe you don't want it for everybody, but maybe you just want it, so that men and women have equal rights.
Yeah. I know for me, just from this conversation, it's going to help me go out into the world and really be observant of what's equal and maybe what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see that. And, I think there is still a lot of generational stuff with it. You look to some older generations and like, dudes can be just dudes.
Yippers.
Right? You know? And this, and it's great. I'm so glad that, Poppy is saying she's glad we had this conversation, because no matter what, nothing's going to shift unless we bring it to the surface to be able to be on the table to even have a conversation about, right? If we keep hiding it behind closed doors, which it's not behind closed doors, this subject really. But if we hide it, or if we come at it with such radical opposition, we're not going to get anywhere. Right. Those are the two extremes.
Exactly.
So we want to find some kind of harmony, some kind of middle ground, right? Which can sound very like, hey, let's be the UN, right, about this.
Yeah. So David is it David? Yes. Would like to participate.
Great.
So do I press?
Yeah, you're in control of all this now, because I'm.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to accept you, David. Hey, David.
Hi. Happy International Women's Day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, y'all keep the world going round.
And just so you know, we like to celebrate men.
Oh, well, I like to celebrate men too, but today it's about the woman,
Yeah, awesome.
And so,
thank you.
To me, feminism really is a way of life. You breathe it, you live it. You shit it. It is what it is. But awesome. Yeah, just more power to y'all. And Deborah, you're looking good.
That's very kind of you.
You too, Karen. You too, Karen.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's, here's to keeping feminism alive. We have to get you this is what feminism looks like. See you later.
Bye.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Let's see. Not quite sure.
Yo, have a good night, ladies.
Yeah, you too.
Stay sexy. Mm.
Deborah?
Yep.
Okay.
I got it. Hey, it's Blab, people.
Blab, yes.
It's Blab. Yeah, I'm so glad that we've got the computer thing working too, because yeah, on my phone app, my app is being weird right now. So in any case, I have to say, it's like, look, we all have to decide what it means for us, and if we want equality, right? What are you going to do in terms of taking actions in your life? Now, I don't tout myself. I'm on the phone, so I don't tout myself as a hugely political person. So I'm not saying you have to get out there and you have to start picketing, right? Although if that's your jam, go for it.
I want to.
Hey girl, if you're like, look, I'm going, are you coming? I'll probably come.
I know you'd come with me.
I'm not going to come with just anybody, right? Let's be clear. So you can, in terms of equality, it's like start in your own home. How about that?
Yeah, right? Maybe start with your own self and stop putting yourself down.
There's that. That's great. Start with, are you living with family? Are you living with a partner? Are you living with a roommate, friends? Like, start where you're at. You have to start where you're at, because wherever you are, I say this all the time, wherever you are, there you are. And you got to make that change. Got to make that change. I'm thinking of that Michael Jackson song. Yeah. Within yourself first, before you're going to experience it out in the world. Because if you're sitting there thinking like everybody else has to toe the line and do the work and you'll just reap the rewards, well, get on board, people. Right?
Yeah. Hello.
Like that's not cool. I've learned that much. If you're gonna sit around and bitch about it, you better pull up and shut up and do something about it, whatever it is. So, what else you want to put in the mix, Miss Karen? Fagan. I'm just gonna call you Fagan. You call me Kagan.
Fagan. Okay. I want to put in the mix. I'm just reading these messages.
Oh.
So,
hold on. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm coming back. How do I do this?
Okay, so I'm just going to call something out right now.
Okay. All right. I'm here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat on my computer because it's not working on my phone. But in any case, I think we've hit our hour.
Yeah, we definitely have.
Okay. So here's what, any parting words?
Yeah. I do have some parting words. Hold on one second. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Yeah.
Let's wrap this baby up.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. You're right. You know what? This whole conversation is about feminism. And, being on camera, on video as a woman, I really checked in that like I wasn't all about cleavage. And so it's interesting that we had a man come in and celebrate and then took the conversation to cleavage. It's like so against what we just talked about. And it's just totally not cool. So thanks. Is it Deb Knob for not ripping on us? And if you're going to be a man, be a man. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, you know, and again, because here's the thing, it's right. It's about equality. So we can bring that right back at them.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that doesn't have to do with being a feminist. That just has to be, you know, doing with somebody who really has no class or any style, which is not part of this conversation. So I do want to wrap it up with the fact that you and I are here, and we wanted to just find out what people were thinking about being a feminist and feminism, really, what that means to them. And I love that we've come up with this new phrase, human beingism. Right? So if you dig that, you know, tweet at us. You can Facebook us. This will be posted on our YouTubes as well as blogs. So, you know.
And let's look at each other in the eyes as, you know, who we are and not what we have. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is, right, we were saying we are all flesh and blood. Period. Right?
Yeah.
All right, girl. Well, Miss Fagan, I love spending our blabs on Thursdays together.
Me too, Miss Kagan.
We are the Kagan and Fagan Hour, and we will be back every Thursday sharing different topics. It is March, so we are on Women's History Month together and to celebrate women. So we'll be coming back at you with another hot topic next week. Look forward to seeing you all. And as always, you know I'm going to say it, Karen. Get out there and go knock them alive, everybody.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.